Are there any current trends you're seeing in terms of whether it's HPLC, chromatography, sample preparation you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I guess what I mean, obviously being around for as long as I have, I've seen some really big changes. Things like the seismic shift away from GCMS in many of the clients that we work with to LCMS. And what I've seen probably over the past 5, 6 years is a real trend towards labs looking to analyze much larger panels of analytes. Previously you might a forensic lab might do an opiate panel and benzo panel, but now it's going to do 350 plus drugs in a single run. And of course, that means that the companies like UCT who manufacture HPLC columns, they've got to be able to produce products that enable the labs to analyze drugs that are extremely polar to extremely non-polar and everything in between. I guess things like the PFPP phase, which is when we were at TAFT in Switzerland last year, I noticed a lot more oral and poster presentations referring to the use of the PFPP column for these really large panels. The other thing that I have seen is that over the years there's been a shift away from traditional SPE, which, when you're doing GCMS, you had to have this unbelievably pristine sample to present to the instrument. LCMS changed that. It's more robust, it's more rugged, so therefore less sample prep. And that forced companies like UCT, who are real innovators in that space, to look at still being able to coming up with a product that would provide the cleanliness and reduce matrix effects, which obviously is a real problem for LCMS. And so that's something that I've seen. So, a quicker, easier sample prep. The good thing for organization price is that means the sample volume is smaller. Therefore, the blow down time is quicker. So therefore, that has an impact also on workflow. And probably one of the most recent innovations that I've seen was when Cura released their B1 enzyme, which has been a real game changer. It's allowed for much faster hydrolysis time, which improves turnaround time. And these days it's all about how quickly you can get your samples in, how quickly you can get your samples out.
In terms of the proliferation of compounds, that's something we've seen a lot with
Yeah,
PFAS because we're cited in those drinking water
yeah,
methods as the regulations change. And I suppose at some level, more and more PFAS compounds are being discovered.
yeah.
So there's more to look
Oh,
for.
absolutely.
So
And I do think that, certainly with the legislation here in Australia and also in New Zealand, the organimation, units. I mean, everyone's wanting PFAS-free products now. And I've seen quite a number of your interviews with labs that are doing PFAS and can really understand why the organimation product has become so popular.
yeah, speaking of Australia and New Zealand, what growth are you seeing in terms of how HPLC is used? Are there certain types of analysis? To give an example that I'm seeing more and more, certainly there's this PFAS wave that I feel like we're still riding as an organization, whether it's commercial labs or research labs at universities. But 6-PPD is
Yeah.
another. That's the compound that's used to treat rubber for
Yep.
tires. Spoke with a researcher from University at Buffalo to kick off the concentrating on chromatography interview series. I was just curious what you're seeing in terms of growth areas.
Yeah. 6-PPD probably hasn't had the same impact as what PFAS has had. I spent summer vacation reading a book called Our Stolen Future, which is about the rise of the endocrine disruptors. Unfortunately, that book was published in 1997, and there's been a lot of things happened since then. I guess for us, as with regards to trends that we're seeing, definitely the environmental market is one that we're developing. So, things like PFAS, microplastics is another one, and also food safety. Food safety is becoming a significant issue around the world, not just being able to feed all of us, but also to be able to make sure that the food that we're eating is suitable. So we're seeing that. I've also seen a real increase in the use of HPLC, LCMS in pathology laboratories. So I'm looking at some of the, I guess, the more esoteric type of conditions, plasma nephrins, steroids, those things really come to mind. And I think that's going to continue. And in terms of what else we're seeing is that real increase in the number of analytes that people are testing for.